afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of day or night you happen to be stopping by. It's naturally not. I hope wherever you're at, you're doing wonderfully. I know I'm doing pretty doggone good because it's gotten kind of cooler out, and I love that. In fact, I'm going to make pie this afternoon, and I decided on pizza because even though I was traveling earlier this summer and eating pizza everywhere I went, I swear, St. Louis, all over the place. Just last night I was like, wait a minute, I haven't had a pizza in a while because I haven't had any since I got back. And then I realized that I was out of some things to make pizza, and then I thought, you know what? I haven't made a batch of pizza sauce in a while, so that's what we're going to make today is pizza sauce. And we're just going to make a standard, I don't know how many pizzas it makes. If you were to make your traditional, what is that, about a 15-inch pizza, this would make, I don't know, 2 or 3, the batch that I'm going to make today. It makes a lot more if you make mini pizzas, which is what I'm making. And it's what I almost always make for myself, right? If I make the crust from scratch, that's a different story. But if I'm making a mini pizza like this, my sauce goes much further, okay? Last winter when I was making mini pizzas, and I would do this often on like a Saturday night, it got to be like a little fun thing I looked forward to during the week and work, right? I was buying a refrigerator stable kind that comes in like a squirt thing, and it was pretty good. Just about every grocery store, including my crappy one, carries this brand. It begins with a C. And you've probably seen it, and it tastes pretty good. But also, this spring I just happened to run out, and I did the thing that always changes my mind on things, is I turned around and I looked at the back of the label of the bottle, and it was an entire paragraph of ingredients, and I went, you know what? I used to make my sauce from scratch all the time. I'm going back to making it from scratch. It's easy. It doesn't take long. Now, it's not refrigerator stable. You can't just keep it in the shelf in a bottle like you can that other kind, or like you can ketchup. But that's because there's spoilable ingredients in it. They're fresh. So what I do is I go ahead and I package them in the, and I think I've showed you this before, folks. I package them in the, which I'll do off camera today. I'm not going to waste your time, but I go ahead and I fill several of these up. Then I put them in a quart or a gallon size bag, and I freeze them, and then I just pull one out. 15 minutes, it's thawed out, and I'm ready to make pizza. So yeah, that's how I store it, and then I don't have to worry about it ever going bad. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This is so easy, and I'll put the recipe down below. And there's a few things in this recipe you don't even need. So let's cover the absolute essentials of what you need. And you also don't need to cook this, but I think it's better if you do. But you absolutely don't have to if you're too tired or don't have the time. So you don't need to spend a lot of money. This was a discount grocery stores version of tomato sauce, low sodium, has nothing in it. Tomatoes and water, that is it. So you don't need to buy a fancy brand, save your money, okay? That you absolutely need. You absolutely need a 1/4 teaspoon of dried oregano, same amount of basil, absolutely need that, salt and pepper, and a little olive oil. Those are the bare ingredients. In fact, if you didn't want to cook this, you could put it in a pot, pour everything together, stir it, go take a shower, do some laundry, and come back. You need to leave it set because you need these spices to rehydrate and flavor the sauce. But I like to cook mine, so you need a couple extra ingredients. You need a tablespoon of olive oil in a saucepan, which I already have here. And I'll go ahead and turn her on because my oven's wonky, my oven top. The extra ingredients are tomato paste. Okay, you're going to need, I measure it with my heart, so maybe a 1/2 tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon. Secret weapon, one teaspoon. And if you're a little nervous, if you're going to make this, just do a 1/2 teaspoon. You can't taste it. It dissolves. Comes out kind of like toothpaste, and it just dissolves into the sauce. It's a lot like adding fish sauce to your Asian cooking. It doesn't taste icky. It just gives it a big umami bomb, right? So that's the magic ingredient. Also, fresh garlic. And I'm going to do 1 clove for the batch today. And this is like what did I say? I remeasured it after I cut it. This is 1/3 cup, which on my onion was a 1/2 onion. And then I have all of these gorgeous tomatoes. And again, this is unnecessary. The basics are the seasoning and the of 15 ounces of tomato sauce is canned. But I'm putting in extras because this is going to be really good. And, like my friend Leslie and I were talking about the other day, sometimes the sauce makes the pizza, right? We both agreed that sauce is really important. We disagreed and had a small debate whether the cheese was over the sauce. And we both agreed that a lot of pizzas don't put on enough sauce, right? Or that the sauce isn't that great. So I've got fresh garden tomatoes, and I want to show you a trick of how to cut them up and not include all that messy seeds and extra water, because that doesn't add anything to the party. So I saved a couple tomatoes to show you how to do that. If you want to add some zip and flavor and have a chunkier pizza sauce, you can use cherry tomatoes, just a couple. This is a half a cup, but you don't want that stuff in there. So to get rid of that stuff, you just cut off this top part. See that? See that stuff in the center? We don't need that. And all you got to do to get rid of it, there's no fancy trick. Just squeeze. That's all I'm doing. I'm just squeezing this, and look at that. It's just the delicious fleshy part of the tomato, and that's all you need, right? Then give that a rough chop and add that to the tomatoes that you're going to add to the sauce. And in this case, I'm going to add that to my one half cup I have just sitting here. No fancy chop. Don't get worried about how fancy the chop needs to be. Okay, I've got my olive oil, good olive oil. You want good olive oil for this. Is it shimmering? You want to bring it up to shimmering. Getting ready to saute my onion and garlic. I usually drop a little tiny bit of water in there. That gives me an indication of it's ready, and in this case it is. I like a lot of onion. You don't have to add this much onion, right? You could add, what did I write down here? This is 1/3 of a cup of chopped onion. You could use 1/4 cup. And probably some people would rather have that. I love onion. Okay? I love garlic too, and I was going to do 2 cloves in this batch, but I think 1 clove is good for the average Joe, right? So we're going to saute off our onions and garlic. I'm going to wait just a second before I add this. And I might add a little powdered garlic to this, right? Oh, I'm getting hungry already. And we're just going to get this so this is cooked is all. That's all we're going to do. And then we're going to add everything else. Taste a few times for seasoning. Let it simmer for just a little bit. It is good to go. If it wasn't early on a Sunday afternoon, it's only 1 o'clock, I would go ahead and make pizza and eat it right now, but this is going to be for later. And this will, like I said, this will get me several mini pizzas sauced up for dinners coming up, right? Over the next month or 2, or whenever I decide to have pizza. Love that smell. That is just about where it needs to be, because I have it at a medium-high heat. Now we'll go ahead and add our garlic, and we'll just give him a minute to saute up a little bit. We don't want to overdo garlic. Burdened garlic doesn't taste very good. And not even a minute. I always go a little bit under, because I'm always afraid of wasting garlic and by burning it. Like, that's good enough. I say if you start to smell it, it's good to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add my chopped onions. I'm going to add this Mommy Bomb. And again, you could leave this out, but why not try it? You know what? If you've got somebody who's a picky eater, what they don't know ain't going to hurt them. Don't tell them it's in here. However, if you're making this for a friend or family member that has a fish allergy, well then you obviously got to leave this out, right? I know, because a friend and I were making, several years ago, my old friend Jason and I were making Soffincione, which is a Christmas Italian pizza. We would make it every Christmas. And he had a fish allergy. But he was kind of hoping he'd grown out of it, because he was already, how old was he then? 40-something. And so he made it, we ate it, and then he told me the next day he spent most of the evening after I had left in the bathroom. He didn't feel good at all. So if you got a fish allergy, you might have to just leave it out. And I'm sorry, but you can always add more salt, right, to make up for that mom bomb. So we're just bringing this together. Now we're going to add our no-name variety 15 ounces of tomato sauce. Generic, that is fine. We're going to add our seasonings. We're going to keep it at a high heat because we're going to let it simmer, and then we're going to bring it up to a simmer, almost not to a boil, but you know what I mean. Bring it up there so it's dancing around, if you will. And then I'm going to check for seasonings, right? And at that point, that's when I add my salt, my pepper. Did I tell you what else was in here? A quarter of a teaspoon of Aleppo pepper, which is my new favorite ingredient these days. And I had just a smidgen of red pepper flakes. I couldn't remember if I told you that was in here. It'll be in the notes. Okay, gonna turn this up a little bit. I'm so hungry. This smells so good. This, for all intents and purposes, is done except for the tasting and the simmering for a little bit to bring this up to speed. See, I am so glad I added the extra tomato chunks. If I can show you here. See that? I like a chunky sauce. And I know you're saying, well, that's mainly the onion, isn't it? No, it's the tomatoes. And you don't want to cook them down to nothing because I already chopped them up pretty well. Ooh, I can see the glistening of the... I love it when the olive oil does that, when you can see a little bit glistening. Yep, it's starting to simmer. I'm going to take just a tiny taste. And by the way, I'm going to use the same spoon. I'm not going to change the spoon out because I'm going to be the only one eating this pizza sauce. Ooh, it's simmering great. I have a feeling I'm going to need a bit of salt because I didn't have any in here. And it's whatever the manufacturers might have slipped into the product. No, this one's low salt. This doesn't have any salt. Okay. Need salt. Now, if you want to read something online that'll drive you crazy, type in, does tomato sauce or pizza sauce need sugar? Oh my gosh, there's a million debates on that. I don't really like mine that sweet, but sometimes you have to add a little bit light-handed sugar to cut the acidity. This is horribly acidic. Okay, go ahead, throw a little bit of kosher in there. Just a pinch, eyeball it. And a little pepper. A little cayenne in this doesn't make it spicy, it just makes it brings a warmth, if you will. Not all peppers are the same. All ground peppers, right? Black pepper, cayenne pepper, Aleppo pepper, red pepper flake. I think red pepper flake's got the most bite to it. But this Aleppo pepper, I can't get enough of. In fact, I might, after this is stirring around a little bit, I might add more Aleppo pepper because I love it. Another thing you could add in, and I'm going to add it in, I think, is, you already know what it is when you see the white cap come out. Yep. My smoked paprika, which I never can get enough of. Just a little bit. I only put in maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon just now with that sprinkle. And that's just me. I love that stuff. I love anything smoked, to be honest. Let's give this another taste. It's going to be hot, so... Maybe another stir a little bit. I think, folks, this is good to go. I'm going to kill the heat. Even though I've already cooked it, I'm going to let it come all the way down to room temperature. Then I'm going to package it up with my snack size bags for the freezer, but I'm going to hold one out for my pizza. And I'm going to enjoy this. But I'm going to leave it sit out just in case any of those dried herbs hasn't fully given off its aroma and its taste into the sauce because it's dried, right? So that's the story with that. You could also add a little more basil if you wanted more basil, or if you're not an oregano person, just make it all basil and no oregano at all. But this is so much better and better for you than that stuff that you can just squeeze out of the plastic bottle, right? Kind of embarrassed to even admit to you guys I did that. Didn't take much time, and like I said, that's several pizzas worth of saucing. Didn't take much time. This was on sale, so this was maybe 50 cents. I can't remember. I bought a bunch of them. And then the rest was just my seasonings, my tomatoes that I had growing anyway. This lasts a long time. It really does last a long time. This is also good to have for Caesar salad if you make that from scratch. I don't know if I've taught you guys my recipe for that. But I have a pretty good Caesar salad with and without anchovies. And you know what? I didn't even add the paste. I forgot to add the paste. I'm going to add a little bit just because I said I was going to do it anyway. What is it going to do now? It isn't going to hurt to add it now. I'm adding about 2 teaspoons. I think it deepens the flavor. Do I have to cook it now all over again? Nah, this is already pretty darn hot. I'm just going to make sure. I think I'm just going to make sure this is well incorporated, and then I'm going to give it another taste. It's going to make this really tomato-y, if you will, because tomato paste is the guts to tomatoes, all boiled down. All right? Let me just give this another taste. I'm wearing my black apron because whenever I make any kind of red sauce, I always get little dots of it all over my shirt where my apron didn't cover me up. So I'm wearing my black apron so I don't stain one of my lighter colored ones. Let me give this a little taste again. I'm glad I did that. That opened this up a little bit. I'm glad I remembered to add this. You don't need much. Teaspoon or 2, and you don't. It's not even necessary. Again, remember, the necessary items are this, the seasonings, and a little bit of olive oil. This is really good. I can't wait to make the pizza. Actually, I have the sausage already pre-cooked. I think I told you guys about that before. I pre-cook my sausage for pizzas and I keep it in the freezer. That way, you just bang the frozen bag on the counter and pull out however you want. Done. Don't need to cook it. And I also have some pre-cooked frozen sliced mushrooms. That's going to be my pizza. It's going to be so good. So wherever you're at, I hope you're having a great day. I checked my analytics again this morning, and it said, again, about another 1,000 people lurking around watching my videos this week, which is great. I love it. And I had a few extra subscribers. So if you're hesitant to subscribe, don't be hesitant. It only takes a minute, and it helps me in my channel. You just hit that little subscribe button that's underneath the square that I appear in, if you will, and it's that easy. If you hit the little bell, it'll give you a little ting every now and then on your device to let you know that I have a new video up, because I post every Sunday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and I love it every time I have a new subscriber. I smile no matter what kind of day I'm having. It's like meeting a new friend. So again, wherever you're at, I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next Sunday. Happy pizza time making. Bye-bye.